This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Watch the greenbacks tumble.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Your dial set correctly to USAPrepares.com. We are delighted you're here. We're broadcasting today 4 hours. 4 hours today from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. During the last 2 hours, I was on with Sam Bushman and Joyce Riley on the Power Hour, coming forward to USAPrepares.com. Sam Bushman is with us. Mike Parsons from Tennessee is joining us. And then on hour number 2 of this particular piece, the USAPrepares.com piece, Joyce Riley will be joining us. Welcome, Sam Bushman.
Thank you very much, Vincent Finelli, my friend. And by the way, I was with the first hour with Joyce, too. It was her show. Then we simulcasted my show and her show. For the second hour. That was a little bit crazy. When you guys talked on the breaks, I had to chop you off and ad-lib there because I was covering her breaks. My clock is kind of the easiest clock to maneuver around and stuff like that, so I take your breaks when we do these simulcasts. Anyway, to make a long story short, that was fantastic. Now this hour, Liberty Roundtable Live simulcasts with USA Prepares.
Mm-hmm. And joining us from Tennessee, Mike Parsons, USAPrepares.com instructor, farmer, Nemenha. Welcome, Mike Parsons.
Good morning, Vincent, and good morning, Sam.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
It's great to have you here, and I'd like to share with our class what we're doing. Class, Joyce Riley is a broadcaster on Genesis Communications Network. Sam Bushman is a broadcaster on Liberty News Radio, and I broadcast on Genesis Communications Network. And the interesting thing is, all three of us are on at the same time. Under normal circumstances, we would be considered competitors. However, the three of us are of like mind as broadcasters, and we have decided that you need to be able to hear all of us sequentially. And what we've done is we've worked out an arrangement with a radio station in Missouri, Big Country 99.3 FM, and we are on Big Country 99.3 FM one after the next. So for 7 hours, we broadcast Monday through Friday. So it starts out with me for 2 hours at 10 o'clock at night. Then Sam Bushman joins for 2 hours from midnight to 2, and then Joyce Riley picks up the controls at 2 o'clock and goes till 5 o'clock in the morning. And what's really interesting about this is that we do not meet and say, okay, who's going to discuss what? Each one of us independently figures out what we want to do, what we think is important, what we want to talk about. But the most amazing thing is we are all on the same page. And that's why we're doing this broadcast today, all of us, so that we can share with you our thoughts, who we are, and introduce ourselves a little bit farther and further into our perspective. So, Sam, why don't we start with you? Can you just give us a thumbnail of who you are and why you're broadcasting? And then, Mike, you've been a broadcaster. Mike Parsons in Tennessee. He started his own radio show to get his message out, and we'll ask him the same question. And then let's get on to the trucker strike and what's happening with that.
All right. So I make my living as an IT director for companies. I work in the radio station automation market. I've developed software called Audio Compass, which is a audio over IP solution for broadcasters, meaning two people can be in different locations and sound like they're in studio together via my software. And so I've been in the IT business forever. I've made my living primarily in IT and real estate. About 20 years ago, I heard some crazy radio talk show hosts at night. Well, they weren't really crazy. I just thought they were. After some research, I found out they were right, and I've dedicated my life ever since to becoming a newsmaker and truly educating Americans with a goal of God, family, country is kind of my motto. Our goal is to bring morality back into society. We're not revolutionists, but we are restorationists. Our goal is to restore the republic and the traditions of our founders. My goal is to promote God, family, and country on your radio. So that's kind of what I've done for a living and what I do. And my wife and I have 8 children. I've been married 21 years. Oldest kid's 20, youngest kid's 5, 4 boys, 4 girls. And I've got them in all aspects of life, from married right on down to, thank heavens they're out of diapers, kind of an idea. And so I'm a family man. My family, my children, and my wife are my treasures. And so, you know what? I live what I preach, if you will, to the best of my ability. Am I perfect at it? Far from. But you know what? We wake up every day with our boots on the ground and try hard, sir.
And you hail from Utah.
I live in the beautiful Beehive Olympic state of Utah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so here we have broadcasters from different parts of the country, and we have all come to the same place. None of us is happy with what is happening to us by a small community in Washington, D.C. Mike Parsons from Tennessee, please share with us who you are, a little bit about your background. You started a radio station, and you're trying to get the word out also.
Well, I did. I've been a listener of radio, talk radio, for a long, long time, and back about 30 years ago, I was made aware of how corrupt the government was, and through the years following that, tried to engage the system in various capacities, and virtually the system is a closed shop. It's by invitation only. And when I ran for office in 2006, actually ran a very clean race, had a great platform, had benefits that I was able to bring forward to the community that the Old Boy Network refused to allow, such as jobs and things that were beneficial to all. And the election was flipped, literally, as the black box voting lady spoke about during that year. Many elections were stolen virtually by the click of a few keystrokes, mine included. And so I challenged it in court, only to find out that the court also was corrupted. I went to the news media, went to the FBI. I had the evidence. I had the hard, cold facts that theft had occurred in this election, and it was fraud, and it was rampant. And the government was complicit, and those people in those positions were ultimately criminals as they were violating every law in the book willfully and knowingly, but yet the government refused to hold itself accountable. The mainstream media was silent, and so therefore I had no voice. And only by calling in on a few talk shows, able to make a few salient points that they thought were effective, they invited me to start my own show. And so I created a ministry called The Voice of Truth with Mike Parsons. Christ Jesus is the voice of truth. I'm Mike Parsons. But in couching it in such a way, it was a ministry cloaked in a secular format where I could discuss the issues of the day, as Joyce does, parse out the news in the first hour and break down other issues, and slowly bring awareness to the people, and not only my own plight, but also the plight of many other people who've been railroaded within this corrupt system. And did that for 2.5 years before ultimately I was railroaded into the Henning Hotel for 2.5 years.
Why don't you share with us a little bit about that hotel experience, Mike?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes. Can you share with us a little bit about that hotel experience?
In a nutshell, extortion is the rule of law. They do not know anything but extortion. The inmates, whether a person is innocent or guilty, is irrelevant. They're all treated the same. They're all treated terribly. They are extorted. If an inmate is a good-looking inmate, and in a male institution like that, there are a lot of female guards, and they will leverage them into doing favors for them, giving them pleasures that they obviously have difficulty getting away from work, or they will write the person up and accuse them of something that didn't happen, and that will prevent that person from getting out of prison. There are people that have parole denied, such as myself. Now, I was not approached by any guards for any special favors like that, but I had written a letter to all the local news media in the city of Memphis and surrounding area and national news, basically exposing how I was railroaded, and they opened my mail, and they confronted me about it, and then accused me of, quote, thinking of circumventing policy. Now, there's no such policy as thinking of anything and being charged with a abuse of policy, but yet that's what they charged me with. And even though the parole board had approved that I be immediately released because the parole board didn't believe that I should be there, after being in there 10 months, I was told, well, stick around for another year. And then I was falsely accused again and again. So what should have only been 10 months worked out to be 2.5 years. And so I'm still fighting that system. It's total corruption. And folks, if you've got family member or anybody that you know that's in prison, realize the system extorts people every day into pleading guilty to things they didn't do. I never pled guilty because I didn't do anything wrong, and yet they have kept juries, people that are the old boy networks, family and friends of police officers and elected officials, and they sit on these juries routinely convicting people because that's their job and they get paid to do this. The whole system is a fraud. They ignore their own rules, codes, statutes, and regulations. And you're denied due process right and left. And most people don't realize the system. They think they understand it by watching TV. But unless you go and actually sit in one of these court hearings and see how they are masters of manipulation, as one attorney said, the judge in my case was a master at crafting the record. In other words, he would literally go in and pull out evidence, throw it literally in the trash can, and tell the court reporter to delete this or change this word or that word. And because I recorded everything, I had the luxury of going back when I got home and listening to the recording and reading the transcript. Now I would find various parts of it that were not there. The transcripts were altered. This is a crime. But who's going to hold them accountable? No one, unless we do. Now, in the program earlier, and I appreciate you letting me on today, Vincent, I kind of feel like a flight engineer on board a 727 where you're the captain, Sam is the co-pilot, and I'm kind of in the back seat as a flight engineer looking over your shoulders and observing and trying to aid where possible. But in the previous show where you and Sam were on with Joyce Riley, you discussed a lot of things, and one of the things was the topic of the truckers in Washington trying to bring awareness to the problems in our country. And whether or not theirs is an effective solution, I don't know. But the fact is that...
Mike, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Sam Bushman, Mike Parsons, Vin Finella, USAPrepares.com. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about the trucker strike. Class, Sam Bushman's with us in the virtual USAPrepares.com broadcast classroom. Mike Parsons joining us by telephone. And I asked Sam Bushman and Mike to tell us a little bit about themselves. And Mike Parsons ran for office in Tennessee, and he said it was a closed shop. He was talking about the morality. And here's my question before we get into the trucker strike. Mike Parsons, you ran for office. The television media reported that you won. Ultimately, through all kinds of events that happened subsequently, you were set up, you were put in prison, and here's the question. Is it possible for us to have honest people elected to office in our communities? Is it possible to do that anymore? Or is it so closed that in your case, even though you won, they were so afraid of what you would do that you were put in jail? Is it possible for us to get honest representation today?
Let Mike respond first, and I'll respond second, Vincent.
Yeah, yes, please do.
What most people I've spoken to that will speak to me that are in bed with the system but don't like it, and they're there only because of extortion, they say that you're either extorted or you're railroaded or you end up floating down the river. In Tipton County, those are the three options. Those are their effective ways to neutralize any opposition, and this has been going on for a long, long time. The guy that I ran against, a former used car salesman, has been in there 26 years, brings nothing to the table of any substance, has not done anything. It was not an effective administrator. That's why I ran. I won't say his name, but the fact is that there was a reason I ran. There was so much blatant corruption and theft. The comptroller of the state of Tennessee, for 20 years that he's been in office, cited his office for theft, but yet no prosecution, no accountability. And that's where I stood, because I can't see people being abused in the community where I live and standing back and doing nothing. Now, you know, you make your decisions through life. I was a crossing guard when I was in the 5th grade at elementary school. I was in the Boy Scouts. I learned to take responsibility at an early age where I could and when I could and try to help out. I try to be responsible for my family, and I resigned from Federal Express management to be able to stay home and stay and raise my son and do the homeschooling thing, give him all of the things that he needed to be successful, and he is. It paid off in dividends. Now, I've moved to a community where I thought I would be safe, my animals would be safe, but yet we come under attack. Those around me that are not part of the old boy system are under attack. Someone has to stand, and at that time, that someone was me. And so I did the right thing, looked at, all across the board, doing an audit of every county office that I would have in my purview to do that. And with the help of the comptroller of the state and a outside position and authority to prosecute, we could have cleaned house and made this a better place and safer place for everyone to live. But they couldn't stand for that to be done.
All right, and Vincent, I'm going to agree with Mike completely, but I would also submit to you that, again, I said, and a lot of people always say, well, Sam, you complain about some of the things people are trying to do, like this trucker strike, which we'll get into in a minute. And by the way, I got some updates on that for you that's very interesting. Nevertheless, I submit to you there are solutions, and a lot of times we look in the wrong places for solutions. And what I'm submitting to you is, you know what? The political realm in which we have to deal with on a daily basis that's full of corruption is no different than government, no different than business, no different than every other aspect of our society that's corrupt as all get out. Society merely mirrors the people, and we are a corrupt people. Everyone's on the take. Everyone wants what they want now. No one wants to delay gratification or live moral lives. They expect to live in a very selfish manner. Okay, these things mirror individuals and families, and society is no stronger than the individual or the family. So the reason I say that is when you say, can we elect good, honest people? If good, moral people choose to live good, moral lives and are self-governing and decide to run for office, and good people uphold them, then the answer is yes. On the other hand, if you say, can a good person in a sea of immorality do well and get elected? Not a chance. So it's a societal discussion, not a can we elect good people discussion. It's a morality discussion, Vince.
There you go. No disagreement from me. Sam Bushman, Mike Parsons, Vincent Finelli, USAPrepares.com. Sam's got an update on the trucker strike. How well is it working? Is it working? We're going to find out when we come back in just a couple minutes. Last we've got Sam Bushman, got Mike Parsons, and Sam's got an update. What's happening in the trucker strike?
Sir,
Sam,
if you go to Fox News, okay, they have a headline that says truckers plan to clog Capital Beltway to protest government corruption. Now, I agree that there's government corruption. Don't misunderstand me. And I agree that we got to do something. I go there. But, ladies and gentlemen, I found a note on this website that basically says, hey, you know what? There's not any clog of the Beltway. There's a few trucks rolling, 5, 10, 15 or whatever. But we're not even close to the 3,000 they said they were going to have. We're not even close to 300 that they said they were going to have. I called Washington, D.C. police, and they say there's no traffic jam whatsoever. So, you know what? I agree with Mike Parsons, and I agree with you, Vincent, that, look, we've got to do something. And I don't have a problem with people wanting to peacefully assemble and push for a redress of grievances. I'm okay with that. But when you start to have an organization that says they're going to do this big, grandiose thing, and I, as a talk show host, do my level best for literally days to try to find out who you are and what you're going to accomplish and what your goals are and how we can help in the cause. Because, see, when I first started digging into this trucker strike thing, my goal was, man, this is fantastic. Me and Vince talked about it. And our goal was, how do we interview folks and support this effort? And so it was in the goal to support this effort that I all of a sudden found a few things that made me go, that made me go, man, I'm not comfortable with this. First off, who are the leaders? And you find out it's a bunch of folks that aren't truckers with alternative agendas to push, such as a talk show, a country music career. And you say, okay, they're not truckers. Then you talk to the independent truckers associations, and none of those folks are involved. They don't want anything to do with it. Then you start talking to truckers on the road, Breaker 19, and guys are going, oh, I've heard of it, but I'm not going. Oh, I've heard of it. It sounds like a good idea, but I can't attend. Oh, I don't want my company logo on my truck to be there. I'm not going to drive in it, but it's a great idea, and I support them 100%, man. I wish them well. And then you go right on down the line, and you say, okay, I'm going to try to get a hold of these folks. I sent an email to the leaders. There's only 3 leaders that I know. And I sent them to the only place they're directing folks to go. Media at ridefortheconstitution.org is where I sent my email, which is what the leaders of this group have been instructing people to do in the media. And I said, hey, who's going to be there? Who can I interview live from the scene while this breaks down, etc.? No one even emailed me back, Vince. You were BCC'd into that email. Did you ever get a response back, sir? Because I sure didn't.
No, let me read that email. I read it before on Joyce Riley's show. Hi, all. My name is Sam Bushman, host of the nationally syndicated Liberty Roundtable radio talk show and owner of the Liberty News Radio Network. Can you please provide details of whom will be in attendance at the Truckers Ride event starting tomorrow? Will the following people be there and available to interview on site? Earl Conlon, Zeta Andrews, and Peter Santilli. Any other organizers? Thanks so much in advance for the info. Thanks, Sam Bushman, with your phone number. Yes, I was copied. I received no calls. I have not been able to find anybody who will talk to me about it. I don't know anybody who is participating. However, I really like the idea of the show of strength. Could it be materialized? The show of strength that says, look, we've had it. We don't like what the government's up to. It's just that this wasn't organized very well. And as so many grassroots events are poorly organized, this is just one more.
And my response to that is, that's okay with me. If you have a genuine attempt, you're just not that organized. My problem with it is there are conflicting statements of what they're even trying to accomplish. Okay? So one guy, Earl Conlon, says, hey, we're going to go in there and we're going to arrest folks, congressmen and senators, and we're going to arrest Barack Hussein. If the cops don't do their duty, we're going to do it. We're going to stop traffic. We're basically going to just shut down D.C. until we get our answers. Our goal is to shut down America. Okay, I don't support that. I don't support just a bunch of citizen vigilante groups getting together and running in and trying to commit citizens' arrests on folks. Like that. I don't think that's the answer. All that's going to do is get folks have their trucks impounded. It's kind of like the guy that runs around and says, hey, man, don't pay your taxes. I got the best way to help you avoid the IRS. It's a great idea, but it seems like the guy that tells everybody to do that makes a lot of money, and the guy that does it ends up in jail and loses all of his possessions. I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm not against the idea of peaceful assembly, and I'm not against the idea of a redress of grievances. But what you can't have is people okay, we're going to march on Washington with our guns, okay, kind of stuff where I don't believe it's helpful. In fact, it basically, in my opinion, puts a black eye on our movement of a bunch of crazy, whacked-out renegades with no purpose. So I then say, well, fine, I'm for this event. Let's just say that for a second. Do you understand who they are, what they're trying to do, and how you can participate even, Vince?
No, it's very, very difficult.
Okay, that's my problem, though.
There's no phone numbers.
You can't be for that, can you?
No, I can't.
Because you don't know what you're even for.
I'm for the concept of getting the message to Washington, D.C. that we've had it. We want morality back. We want lower taxes. We want our freedoms back. We want them to destroy all of the records that they've compiled about our biometrics, our phone calls, our emails, our texts. We want all of them out of office. Anyone who was involved, even at the slightest level, we want all of them out of office, out of the bureaucracy. Every single one of them.
I agree with that. And the question is how to get that done.
for breach of trust. Well, yeah, and the truckers, I think what the few people who are involved in this are trying to communicate that they've had it and they don't know what else to do. So they think they're going to be effective by shutting down the government, but it's not working. Well, let's bring another point. How about when we had the riots of the 1960s and the blacks burned down their own neighborhoods? We're talking about something tantamount to bringing down our own government and hurting ourselves doing it. Now, I really do understand the concept. I really do. But we need to do it in a way that doesn't hurt us as well.
I agree 1,000%. Now, on the Fox News website, I told you the headline they promoted. But then there's a little note. If you look on foxnews.com right this very second, it says, note from Griff Jenkins. Looks like the truck protest is not what is expected. Trucker. And then it says from Griff, okay? Now, I don't even know who Griff is, but it's on Fox News, so take it for what it's worth. He says, even at the earliest moment of 5 a.m. this morning, I departed with their, quote, leader, General Lee. Now, that's another person that I tried to get a hold of in this thing, but General Lee, I don't know, you can't get a hold of him. But anyway, General Lee, there were no more than 10 trucks heading out, driving up 495 now, and I'm seeing no traffic, no convoy trucks. Okay, that's on Fox right now. Okay, if everybody thinks I don't know what I'm talking about, now I'm not against the idea to solve the problems in America. What I'm against, though, is telling trucker A, that might be an independent trucker, to not move freight for America. In other words, shut down the country, go on strike. That's usually a page out of the Communist Manifesto playbook to go on strike, by the way, against yourself if you're self-employed trucker. And then to not make any money, to at great expense drive your truck all the way to D.C. I don't know how much it'll really cost to get all that done, but it's going to cost several $1,000s. It's going to cost just oodles and days of time to be involved in something that's really poorly organized and for naught. Now, they said, well, there's about 3,000 truckers going to participate, but when Joyce asked one of their leaders, Pete Santelli, about it yesterday on a radio program, he wouldn't even answer how many people have signed up or registered to participate. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Do you really want trucker A, good guy doing his best to really participate at great expense, only to go there for naught? If it goes off well, he might get his truck impounded. That ought to help him with his business. And if nobody shows up, then he spent great time, great money to be to something that, you know what, good, honest people could have prevented him from having to go in the first place. Every trucker we've talked to so far says it's a great idea, but I ain't going, right? So what I'm saying is I don't want people to get hurt in this. Vince?
And I don't either. And the image that I found, Sam, about 20 minutes ago, was a post on Facebook. It was the 4 lanes of 495, the Beltway. 4 semis, just 4, were traveling abreast, and there were a whole bunch of cars behind them. Cars behind them. Not trucks, cars. It looked like 4 truckers were holding up a bunch of traffic, just 4 of them. So they had plenty of room in front of them. They were obviously going slowly by this photo. But there weren't thousands of trucks. There were 4.
There weren't even 100 trucks, sir.
That's the point. The point I'm trying to make is we heard numbers like there's 150,000 likes on Facebook for this. Okay, likes didn't turn into trucks arriving so far. Now, maybe this afternoon we'll have more. Maybe tomorrow we'll have more because that's, Saturday. And maybe we'll have more on Sunday. But it doesn't look like it's amassing to be what it was touted to be. And it's unfortunate because
and
the message...
if somebody could even give me a one-page slick, Vince, to tell me who they are, what they want to do, what their goals are, then I might give them a little bit of credence for doing their best. But I don't even see a one-page flyer about what I in the media, if I want to help them, can't even pull up a one-page bullet point of who they are and what they're going to do and how they're going to peacefully do something that I could say, you know what, I like that, I support that, even though there's not enough people, it was a great idea. You know what, maybe we can do it again and have more support, more organization. I don't even have anything I can go for that. I don't even know what they're trying to accomplish. Do
Mike,
you?
your thoughts?
Well,
no, of course I don't.
I'm all for having 50,000 people walk into the state or the U.S. Capitol and the president's office and declare in a loud voice, "You're fired. Please exit the building," and then walk past the guards and escort these thugs to the curb, peacefully, unarmed, but in massive numbers. The reality is that if you engage them in commerce, and these truckers are in commerce, if they do what they're proposing to do, which is slow up traffic and such, they can be stopped and they can be ticketed, and that's all legal. People that are not engaged in commerce can exercise their right to travel freely on these highways, and it's all, legal, and they really can't be...
Mike, hold that
harassed.
thought. Hold that thought. Mike Parsons, Sam Bushman, Vin Finelli. We'll be right back. Class, I've got a short announcement, actually two short announcements. Mother Earth News has a fair in Lawrence, Kansas this weekend, October 12 and 13. So that is tomorrow and Sunday. So tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, Lawrence, Kansas, October 12th and 13th. Some of your USAPrepares.com instructors will be there. I will be there. Judy Dollarheight will be there. John Dollarheight will be there. Possibly Howard Shayne may join us. So we will be there at the Lawrence, Kansas Mother Earth News Fair. And there's a post on the website if you'd like to see that. Also, on Monday, we have a slight change for the meetup. Dr. Judy Wood was planning to be in person to the event, the meetup event, and do a book signing. She will be doing it via... What's happened is she was planning to do another event in Colorado, stop back with us in Missouri, and stay with us for a day or two, and do a presentation at the meetup. And I asked her not to spend the money because the event was canceled in Colorado, and I didn't want her to drive out to Missouri from the Carolinas out to Missouri and back just for that one meetup. So she wanted to do it. I asked her to do it via Skype. So what we've decided to do instead is have a large meetup, and with maybe a couple hundred people, where we can spend hours with her, maybe 3 hours, rather than just a 1.5 hour meetup. So that's Monday. We will have the Monday meetup. Dr. Judy Wood will be there. Where Did the Towers Go? It will be a video teleseminar live via Skype, and I did part of it with her last night. It's unbelievable, so I'd like to invite you to be there. Sam Bushman's with us, Mike Parsons.
And by the way, just so everybody in
Mike,
Utah knows, or different places, that is at Ziggy's in in Missouri, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Sam Bushman, Liberty News Radio, and USAPrepares.com on GCN are doing a live simulcast. This is really, really interesting. 3 broadcasters, Mike Parsons with us, Sam Bushman, and I. And next hour, Joyce Riley is going to join us. So this is kind of groundbreaking. 3 broadcasters trying to get the word out together that we stand in solidarity, and if one of us is taken out, the others are coming to the rescue. No kidding. So, Mike Parsons, you were talking about the visiting the White House.
Well, the fact is in most states' constitution, they acknowledge in the very first article that the power's with the people. It is inherent in all free governments that their powers are founded by the authority of the people and instituted for the people's peace, safety, and happiness. For that advancement and to those ends, the people have at all times an unalienable and indefensible right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such a manner as they, the people, may think proper. We just have to decide on what we think is proper and execute. Because obviously our government has been hijacked, it's been taken over, and it is rogue. And the only thing that we have to do now is decide on how to alter or abolish it. And the means is up to the individuals that do this. And certainly what we're living in now is a state of anarchy. When the government is totally run amok, when you've got a foreign bank controlling the currency and a foreign corporation, the IRS, exercising authority over the people, and they've subverted your right as a child of God to a corporate status via those Social Security numbers, it's an illusion, it's a trick. You've been duped and deceived, and it's time to take back what's rightfully yours.
Yeah, Mike, I'd like to clarify for anyone who might not have fully understood what you said. You used the word execute. Now, you did not mean execute any individuals. What you meant was have a plan and execute the plan. Is that correct?
Correct. Take action. Execution, take action.
Yeah.
Such as a court would have an execution order for a sheriff to go out and seize your property. We need to have an execution order for we the people to go take back our government from those people that are falsely occupying those offices and willfully destroying our Constitution and our God-given rights.
And I, along with Mike, want to restore the Republic of the tradition of our founders peacefully as well, sir.
Yep, so all of us are on the same page. We want to do it peacefully. Sam Bushman, Mike Parsons, Vin Finelli. We're going to be back after the top of the hour at news and a few short commercials. Joyce Riley will be joining us. Please don't touch that dial, because we're going to talk about who we are, why we say what we say, and we're going to share with you our point of reference. USAPrepares.com. We'll be right back.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Watch the greenbacks tumble.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Your dial set correctly. This is hour number 2. You are connected to USAPrepares.com. With us this hour, Joyce Riley joins us. Joyce Riley, welcome.
Thank you so much. I feel like I missed out on my buds in the last hour. I really hated that. I was lonesome.
We held a spot for you. Joyce Riley's with us from thepowerhour.com. Sam Bushman's with us from Utah. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, sir. Delighted to be here. I just want to let everybody know, though, on the top of Salem Radio News, they didn't even mention a single thing about the trucker strike, and I kind of think of it was blocking the whole freeway, and congressmen and senators were getting drug out and citizens arrested and handcuffed. We might know about it. Now, FoxNews.com says it's not the event we thought it was. There was only 6 trucks leaving, and so I looked on Drudge, and they have old news on there. They don't have anything modern about it either. And so, to me, all I'm telling you is, unless everybody in the news doesn't realize it's going on. Now, I called the police department in Washington, D.C., and asked them if the freeway was absolutely clogged with truckers, and they said, what? What are you talking about? And I said, well, listen, I'm from the media, and they said, oh, that's not happening here. I don't know what you're talking about, sir. So, you know what? Everybody knows it's going on but Sam Bushman, I guess.
Wow. I am sorry.
Just saying.
I'm sorry to hear this. I am sickened. I really am. I want to see something happen.
Then what you got to do is you got to find 1 million Americans to put $1 a day into something that is transparent, and we need to have $1 million a day, and I bet you we'll get the media attention with that.
Oh, I think you're right.
We would have $365 million a year, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that our voice is heard. I bet we could organize, too. Do you think we could, Joyce?
I think we could. You're talking $365 a year for somebody to pony up. Now, is this realistic for people to be able to do you think?
More realistic than each trucker on an independent scale going to spend several days and $10,000 to get their truck to D.C. to shut down traffic and get their truck impounded, yes.
Good point.
Sam, tell us how. Tell us how.
Number one, we create businesses that join the Give Me Liberty Fund. GiveMeLibertyFund.com. And I'm not just trying to promote my own solution. You can look at the members of the board. This is Larry Pratt, Gunners of America. It's Chuck Baldwin. It's Jim Clymer, who's one of the leaders of the Constitution Party. There's a variety of us in this movement here. It's called Give Me Liberty Fund. GiveMeLibertyFund.com. You can see the board members. We basically want to collect less than $1 a day. So $30 a month, it's really $360 a year. Less than $1 a day for liberty. Now, the Founding Fathers gave their fame and fortune and sacred honor. We don't even want that. We just want less than $1 a day. We're not even talking about what a mocha costs or a coffee costs or whatever. Way less than that. And what we're saying is we'll put together a plan. We'll be transparent with the money you give us. We'll fund constitutional and liberty-based projects, and we'll be transparent and show you where we spend the money. What we're going to do in exchange is we're going to let businesses be part of the Give Me Liberty Fund for free, and then we'll advertise and promote them to our members. The members will get discounts on products and services from the participating businesses, creating a win-win-win situation. I'm submitting once we get this up and rolling, you'll get more money back than you spend, Joyce.
Okay. I think the potential of what could be done with that is staggering. The potential is staggering. Now, we have to do something. We cannot continue to do what we have been doing in the past because guess what? It's not working. It's brought us to where we are today, and that is right in the middle of the problem.
I agree 1,000%. Now, really quick on this truckers thing, the last point that I want to make is, Joyce, I agree with you 1,000%. If we could literally get organizations like the bikers, like the truckers, like the a bunch of different groups together to peacefully assemble in the nation's capital with a list or a series of demands, of expectations, we could peacefully bring all kinds of people together. And if you had tried, tested leaders that were there, such as Oath Keepers, such as Sheriff Mack and the Constitutional Peace Officers Association, such as the American Family Association, or whoever else. I mean, there's dozens of patriot groups that you could get together. And if you really put all those people together and you said, Sam, here's a one-page briefing on what we're doing. Here are the people who are involved. You know what? We want you as the media to come. We want you to cover the event. I would be all for that kind of solidarity, that kind of a solution, that kind of a peacefully assemble, push for a redress of grievance plan. What I'm not for is a faceless, nameless, confusing thing that's going to get nobody any further along in terms of liberty and get everybody in trouble. I'm not for that plan. If you want to go to Washington, D.C. with your gun loaded and cocked and locked and ready to go, I'm not with you. On the other hand, if you want to truly go and show that we've got, 50 talk show hosts that are part of this, we're all going to go and talk about it live at the nation's capital. We're going to truly, have folks from different states get together and go into their congressmen and say, hey, here's the things we need you to do and here's why. If you don't obey or do what we say, we've got $1 million a day being raised. Here's a bank statement from our bank account showing we got $50 million in the account. Buddy, we're replacing you, my friend, if you don't cooperate with the proper role of limited government and the supreme law of the land. I support that 1,000%. But when someone risks getting their truck impounded because they're clogging down D.C., when someone's asked to shut down America, I say I don't want to be part of shutting down America. I want to help restore the greatest nation in the history of the world to its proper role as a leader based on moral views in America today. I don't want to shut down America. Do you? That's their claim, though.
No, I do want to find out what we can do. What if we were to do a program one day and literally have people like, and just a solution program, having Dr. Stan Monteith join us, asking Alex to join us. What is the solution? Coming
Absolutely.
up with something and find out what direction we can go to. Or are we going to be showing our cards to all the bad guys out there who want to know what our next step is?
I don't care. We're not afraid of our solutions and the steps to restore the republic peacefully. They can know what our agenda is. If we have the greater numbers of the American people, they simply cannot stop us. I think there's two events that I've been part of that I really believe are some of the greatest solutions, and that's why I'm delighted to be part of them. One of them is the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association event that took place in St. Charles, Missouri. You were there, Joyce, Vince, you were there. We broadcasted live from there. We literally had dozens of elected officials standing up telling how they're supporting the proper role of limited government, how they're keeping their oaths of office. It was something to behold. You know what? You had people of all different religions, all different races standing up together saying, hey, we care about America and we're going to work together. They're not going to divide us anymore. And we're not talking about wannabe dreamers. We're talking about elected people doing this. That was a tremendous event. The next event, last time we were all three together, was at the USA Prepares
Yes.
Expo. And I'm just telling you, that's a preparedness expo. It's people getting together for solutions. And man, when I was there was hundreds of people there. You got more people at that event than you're ever going to get trucks to this event. And it was a solutions-oriented event that I'm delighted to be part of. Vince, when's the next one, sir?
Well, we're looking at April next year, and we have not picked the exact date. But I'd like to share that there are 4 of us on this broadcast. Mike Parsons from Tennessee is with us. And Mike was at the Get Prepared Expo as well. And Mike is a USAPrepares.com instructor. He's the Menha. He's a farmer. And welcome, Mike. Where'd Mike go? Oh, okay. I guess, okay. I guess we lost Mike. All right, anyway.
I think he fired up his diesel and he's heading to D.C., buddy.
Listen here, Bushman.
Well, just like everybody else that says they think it's great, but they're not going to be part of it, right? That's the problem in America.
Well, wait, hold it. I've got some breaking news, and then I'll tell you about the expo.
Okay.
During the top of the hour break, one of our instructors called up and said he was on Interstate 44 heading east, and he saw an F-150 pickup truck. It said Washington, D.C. or bust. Veterans, truckers, and bikers, War Memorial Cleanup Crew. And
whoa,
that was just a few minutes ago.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Yeah.
That's the mixing of these legitimate events that are happening. Glenn Beck's in charge of the Let's Clean Up the Monuments in D.C. crew. I got an email on that from Glenn Beck and those guys. That legitimate, peaceful solution is real and happening. What I don't like, though, is these fake wannabe trucker guys leading this event pretend they're part of that, and they're not. We don't have any proof that these people are all working together, sir. They should be, and if they were, I'd be more aboard for that solution. But I bet you if you were to call Glenn Beck up, though, and say, hey, are you working with General Lee on this Shut Down America plan? I bet he'd tell you no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you sure got to burr up your saddle today, didn't you, on this, Bushman?
Yes,
wow.
I did, and I'll tell you why. Because I believe it's going to intentionally put the Patriot movement in an intentional bad light. And I want no part of it. And the more we distance ourselves from it, the more credible we appear.
I just wish we could put together enough money to send him to an assertiveness training course.
That's
all
a good
right.
plan.
There was
I need that.
Yeah.
There was a man in his personal vehicle, an SUV. He was traveling along, and there was a bike accident, and a bunch of bikers behind him pummeled this guy, put him in the hospital. And one of the guys involved in pummeling the operator of this personal SUV was a cop, a New York City cop, and he infiltrated the Occupy Wall Street movement. He infiltrated this group of bikers, and he is a guy playing both sides. And what happened was he was found out to be someone who was trying to incite violence. So here we have a legitimate group of protesters, and then from the cop side, from the other side, one of them was infiltrating the peaceful demonstrators and trying to get them to incite violence. So, you know, we have to be very careful who we work with, because that could be happening right now. And it could give all of us a bad name just by one guy, one provocateur from the other side coming to our side and inciting violence.
I think somebody ought to create the Twerkers for the Constitution website. You know,
oh, man.
That's what we need. Come on.
Twerkers are your thing. Twerkers and this trucker strike, you are really stuck on it, aren't you?
Yeah, it could be twerkers and tweakers are all working together.
But think about, Joyce, think about what he just said. Do you know how much money could be raised?
Well,
I'm not literally
Sam
suggesting we're doing it.
I'm just saying I'm on to start it.
All right. Well, I'll get a hold of Miley and see what she says.
I want to see you twerk. I want to see
We'll be right
Sam
back.
twerk. We'll be back. Oh, I'm sorry, not my show.
This is
We'll be right
USA
back.
Prepares.
Joyce Riley's it's the Power Hour. Sam Bushman's with us, Liberty Roundtable. Mike Parsons from Tennessee has joined us. And Sam, you were talking about Miley
I'm just saying truckers are
Cyrus.
twerking.
Well, wait a minute. But Miley Cyrus has gyrated millions of dollars in free advertising.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
I meant generated.
She sure's done both.
She did. She gyrated millions of dollars in free advertising. Now, had the truckers enticed her to be part of their operation, it might have been massive.
Yeah, she could create a new
Don't
tune
you
called
think?
"Twerking for Truckers." Just saying.
I don't think there's enough
welcome
money
back,
in the
Mike
world.
No,
Never mind.
yeah. Welcome
move
back,
on.
Mike Parsons.
Thanks, Vincent. I dropped off there. I thought that there was a need for another line for Joyce to come on, but I didn't realize you guys have got everything under control and additional phone lines are not a problem.
We're
Wow,
actually
you are
organized.
so thoughtful.
That's Mike Parsons. And we have with us Keith from Missouri. Keith, you've got a solution to the situation in Washington, D.C. We'd love to hear it.
Theory. Good morning, Truth Seekers. The concept is called civil RICO. It's part of a Title 42 action, and apparently, as a civil action, it does not need the go-ahead or the approval of Justice Department, as a criminal RICO would need. And in the case that Joyce had talked about a week ago with the Florida homeschool family who's being attacked by the Florida Attorney General, the counterclaim would be against the Attorney General for trying to deprive them of rights under color of law by enforcing regulations that really don't exist. They're being threatened with upwards of 10 years in prison for not having proper attendance records and for putting their own records together. Well, they're the parents of the kids. They're the only ones there to put together the attendance record. Someone's saying that's not good enough. The civil RICO says your behavior as a civil servant is not good enough, and go after them for massive fines. And as a RICO action, if the other side is convicted of racketeering, somebody would lose their law license.
I think you're exactly right. I think that's one of the solutions for America. And by the way, Tim Baldwin and Jim Clymer, both constitutional attorneys, and Matt Shea, a third constitutional attorney. They're all three very well-known, time-tested patriots. They're on the Give Me Liberty Fund board. And one of the plans with the money is to create a legal team to do exactly what you're talking about, sir. I
Bingo.
concur 1,000%.
Well, see, now we have something with teeth in it, because you have to be able to go back after the other side. And the same thing would work over these overactive cops that, either tasering little kids in a classroom or doing body cavity searches on young women on the side of the road just because they think they can get away with it. These people need to learn that they don't need to be wearing a uniform, wearing a badge, carrying a gun, and attacking the public.
He's absolutely on target, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm talking about. We have plenty of solutions. We just need money and organization to make it happen.
Thank you,
Keith,
sir.
how close are you to Springfield? Keith, how close are you to Springfield, Missouri?
About 5 hours.
Whoa.
Okay. I was going to suggest that we meet Monday at Ziggy's, Sunshine and Glenstone, for a meetup where Dr. Judy Wood is going to be presenting a live teleseminar about where did the towers go. But if you're in the area, we'd love to see you Monday nights.
Other end of the
Ziggy's,
state, but that's a
Sunshine and
good place
Glenstone.
anytime that folks are down there. And a meetup group is a great way to get things done.
Mm-hmm. And we encourage meetup groups all over the country. Joyce Riley, Keith, did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, just to thank her for her guests, and this is a new show for me to listen to, but we do need to work together, and putting together a group that has some financial background and the ability to do a fairly good-sized class action with some seasoned attorneys, this would be tremendous. We don't have to do this all on our own. The other thing I would suggest is also get a hold of Alfred Adesk and stick him in with the group, because he has some good background information as well.
Good point. Good point on Alfred Addis.
Good point.
Thank you all.
Keith, thanks so much for being with us. Thank you. We've got Joyce Riley, the Power Hour, Sam Bushman, Liberty Roundtable, Mike Parsons from Tennessee. I'm Vin Finelli. We're explaining who we are. We're talking about the trucker strike, and I've got some thoughts. Sam, you asked me about the expo. We'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. Sam Bushman's with us. Joyce Riley's with us. Mike Parsons with us. And Sam, you had asked me a while back about.
Hold on, there's a news flash. There's a million trucks on I-495. There's a million of them, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying. No, it's not true. Just don't believe it. It isn't.
You know
true.
what? Let me just say something. I don't think Pete Santilli is going to have you on his program anytime soon.
He ought to. He'd get some ratings. It'd be fantastic.
Oh my gosh!
All
right, go ahead. This is really,
about
Vince's show.
By the way, I invited Pete Santilli on the radio with me, and he won't go, though. And he's still welcome, by the way. And I will be polite to him, even if I disagree with him. I'll give him a chance to say what he wants to say. I will ask him a few hard questions, to be fair. For example, did he show up at the event he was the leader of? If he's not the leader, why is his name on the domain? Kind of thing. I'll ask a few hard questions, but I will be polite, and I will give him a chance to articulate what he wants. And I hope he can put together something that's logical that I can say, you know what, I'm in. I just don't see that to be the case, but I hope that's the case. And the invitation remains open with a guarantee of a polite interview.
Well, all I can say is I hope your wife doesn't bring up at dinner, hey, how did that trucker strike thing go? That's all I can say. Man.
Vincent, sir.
Whoa.
Well,
okay.
Sam, you and I and some others met after the last expo, and we're talking about what's next. And I want to share this. I believe there are 3 types of preparedness expos in the country. There are local ones, community events, and maybe surrounding counties come. Less than 1,000 attendees. Great way to go. Then there are national ones, which have multiple large events per year, and they draw guests and exhibitors from what I would say over 10 states would be a national event. And then there are other events where the government gets involved, and that would be FEMA, the Community Emergency Response Team, Ready.gov, the Fire Corps, and the Citizens Corps. And Citizens Corps is involved. It's Homeland Security. So there are 3 types. There's the small local ones, and I think we should support them. I think there are national ones with that draw from more than 10 states, and I think we should support them. And then there are the government partnership types with FEMA and other government agencies, and I'll name them again: FEMA, Community Emergency Response Team, Ready.gov, the Fire Corps, and the Citizens Corps, which is Homeland Security. I personally am not interested in being involved with anyone who's involved with them, because they let us down over and over and over. So here's what we're going to do. Our expo, the next one, April 2014, I think we should do what we talked about privately. That is in-depth training. So this would be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and seminars. Very few exhibits. Not a big exhibition. And the last time we had 83 seminars over a 2.25 day period. I think we should get away from that and have one seminar at a time, in depth. So we show up, we have breakfast with the seminar speakers. We have seminars, we take a break, we look at the few exhibits that we have, and then we have another seminar in depth, and then we have lunch with our seminar speakers and leaders, and then we have dinner. So we have breakfast, seminars, lunch, seminars, dinner with the entire team. And that would give us the opportunity to meet with the faculty of usaprepares.com. That would give us in-depth training rather than overview pictures of what we should think about. And we can then prepare for the future. So as I contrast this with some of the other events that are happening, I look at some types of training include living in the wilderness, sleeping on, gathering small twigs and leaves and putting them in a pile and being able to live in the wilderness. I don't think we're there. I think that our time is better spent looking at, we do have infrastructure, even without electricity. We still have homes. We still have hand tools. We still have business buildings. And we can survive without without electricity. Now, the government can't. The government cannot survive without electricity. Period. Very interesting point, isn't it? The government cannot survive without electricity.
Wait a minute. Let me. Before you go any further, let me ask something. You talked about expos where FEMA comes to. Are you serious? I mean, who would want to be going to a FEMA-supported seminar in the first place? I mean, did you mean to say FEMA?
Yeah, Obama's going to help you get prepared.
Oh,
well,
my
actually,
gosh.
I did. Well, here's what I'm saying. Let me just unfold what it takes to do an expo, and just in Federal Reserve accounting units. It takes about $50,000 to put on a large expo. There's television advertising, there's plane fares, there's travel, it goes on and on. There's food, there is, those, the pipe and drape that's used between the booths. Mm-hmm. None of that is free. None of it. And it doesn't come with the venue. And then there's the rental of the venue. Then there's the $2 million insurance policy. And then there's security. And then there are people that you pay. By the time you're done, an event's about $50,000.
Wow.
Add the radio advertising, the newspaper advertising, $50,000. Now, if you charge what we do as an expo promoter, we charge our exhibitors about $200 to be there. That doesn't, if you add it all up, it doesn't come even close to paying the bills. So what you have to do is you have to charge the guests something. Now imagine having an expo like the one we do and not charging the guests. Now we offer scholarships, of course. If people have a hardship and they can't afford the $8, we're delighted to let them and their entire family in. But imagine having an expo where none of the guests pay any of their, we'll call it, skin in the game, their fair share, whatever you want to call it. If you don't have the guests pay, then you can't even break even. So where does that money come from? That's my question. So if an expo does not charge the guests to come in, they can't even break even. They can't even come close to breaking even. So where does that money come from? Now, I suggest it comes from other sources.
Well, let me say something. I remember when Dan Chittick, 10, 15 years ago, put on seminars that we all went to, expos. I don't know. Sam, did you ever go to any of Dan Chittick's seminars?
I didn't know.
Okay, they were amazing.
That's where I met you.
That's right. That's where I met you in Ohio. But, well, we didn't, or Indiana, we didn't have, and he had the same problem. It was so cost intensive. It was so financially strapping. He finally stopped doing them. He quit doing them finally because it was just too expensive. And that's why I've admired you doing it and have supported you because, anybody else that will do this, man, we need them because it brings people together. There is esprit de corps there. There are friends that meet there. There are probably, people that meet at an expo and get married for all I know. I mean, there are good things that happen at these expos. People get to sell things. They get to see what's out there. But if you go to a free expo, oh my gosh, somebody with big dollars is running that whole thing, is running that whole operation, and it's got to come from, the Fed dollars or the state dollars to do this because it costs so much for you to do this. I don't know how you do it. I would not want that nut to crack.
Well, Joyce, here at our last meetup in Springfield, Missouri, which was last Monday, I asked the class, and there are about 110 people that show up on average every Monday, and I asked our meetup class, let's take a couple and let's name some of the largest companies in the United States. And so we went around the room, and it was Lockheed, DuPont, Boeing, Verizon, Cisco, Microsoft, and the list went on, very much like that, okay? And then I asked, what is the common thread with all of those financially successful businesses? And it was, they're all government contractors. Now, if you look at the independent businesses, even Dell sells to the government. So, and they're successful. And Hewlett-Packard, if you look at the small businesses that don't sell to the government, they're really having a tough time, every one of them. So if you look at expos, here's my question, and I'd like to throw this out to you. If a person were in charge of FEMA and they wanted to figure out who we are, who we preppers are, because a prepper is someone who is independent-minded, someone who wants to prepare and take care of himself, herself, their families, their parents, their children, build community. They think that they really don't want to be under the control of the system, of the banks, of the corporations. They don't want the immunizations. They do love God and country and those kinds of things, and they're homeschoolers. So those of us who are like that are not part of the masses. So if we could identify who we are, wouldn't that be neat? So if we were in charge of FEMA, and we had an expo, and we could just get those email addresses and then backtrack to the person who has that email address, and let's say we paid $10 a head. Now, this is all speculation or all conjecture or all hypothetical thinking. What a coup that would be, wouldn't it?
Hold on. It's hypothetical thinking of the outline you give, yes. But the fact that they're spying on us and collecting every bit of our data, no. That's actual fact reported in the mainstream press, right?
Sure.
So I guess what I'm saying is you're not going off half-cocked, though. There's a lot of backing for your points, though, right? Mainstream press articles, even.
Yeah, like, how can we figure out who these preppers are? What's the best way? What's the least expensive way? If we could, what if we could get their names for $10 a piece? Would it be worth it? Well, that's the price of an expo ticket. So if a organization wanted to collect email addresses, give out free tickets, and then sell them, what a racket. What a racket. Think about that. So my point is there's no such thing as a free lunch, and it's impossible to put on an expo that has non-biased information, that does not share your email addresses and who you are with anyone.
Well, you don't take email addresses, do you? You don't track people, do you?
No, I don't like email addresses. I really don't. Really don't.
Good.
So, Joyce, to kind of answer your question, I received a call on Wednesday from a new listener, a new member of our class. And I take all the calls. And I try to answer all messages promptly. And he asked me, he said, I want to be on your mailing list, and I want to, I want to be updated as to, what you're doing and where the expos and those kinds of things are. And I said, well, I don't have an email list for that. I don't keep one, and I want to maintain your privacy. Now, a long time ago, we gave out some free passes on the radio, and I sent them an email saying this is your pass. We destroyed all that, and I don't keep people's names, and it's to our own detriment, because in this social media age, it would be much better for us with the expo to keep track of who comes to the expos. But I said, just keep checking the website, and I did that you're interested, but I don't want to keep your name and address in a database, nor your email address. So that's kind of my feeling on that. But it's to our own detriment that we're doing it. And I'd like to thank someone who's very, very close to me. Sam, I know he's close to you. Joyce, the freeze-dry guy. This broadcast would not be possible without his help. He is joined with USAPreparedness.com. He is a sponsor of the radio broadcast. I buy my freeze-dried food from the freeze-dried guy. And as a matter of fact, he was scheduled to be on the air with us today, and he yielded so the three of us could be together. Very interesting, isn't it, Sam? Joyce?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, indeed. We love the freeze-dry guy. He does a great job. By the way, WorldNet Daily just sent a press release saying truckers rolling into D.C. now, so time will tell.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's not a joke.
I'm okay, but how many truckers?
Doesn't say.
Well,
They
is
just say
it
it's
the
on.
ones that are rolling in there? Wonderful. Maybe we encourage them to get the word out. Maybe we are getting the word out.
If they do it peacefully, then we've achieved our goal, right?
Oh, now wait a minute. Now we're going to take credit for it. Now, after we have been talking it down all day, we're going to take credit for getting these guys. Oh, come on. Are you serious?
Well,
yeah, they say the big rigs are invading Washington right now. Good buddy.
I'm thrilled.
I find it refreshing. No, but Joyce, there are a lot of people who listen to us. And they comment. As a matter of fact, Joyce, I'll bet you that the number one broadcaster in the world, as he proclaims himself, I'll bet you that he picks up the phraseology that you use on the Power Hour. I think people listen to us.
No question. And by the way, I'm not taking credit for it. I still think it's ill-advised, and I'll stick with what I'm saying for the reasons that I already articulated.
I think we pretty well know your position. I think we got it down now. But, I think that's awesome information coming from WorldNet Daily. I'm hoping it's true. Somebody on my that emails me says that they are watching the DC cameras. There's a way you can watch the traffic on the DC cameras, and said that as of when they emailed me a while ago, there was nothing there on the cameras that they could see. But if they're out there, I wish they would email me again at thepowerhour@thepowerhour.com and let me know if that's taking place.
All right, here's what it says. Truckers were side by side on the Beltway. They were blocking traffic until a Virginia State Police officer pulled them over. And after talking with the driver, the trucks resumed their speed at about 40 miles per hour. And I guess they were going 15 in the beginning. And they call it a trucker convoy traveling on the Beltway.
Now, tell me how you read that. Wait a minute. I'm going to know how Sam does that. Sam, how are you reading that headline, that story?
Well, I got one ear listening to you, and I got the other ear listening to my computer.
So you've got a computer that tells you the story then?
Yeah. Well, it's reading to me, and
it talks to him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And Sam, my question is, when they pulled over this trucker, that sounds like that image I saw. 4 trucks side by side. 4. Just 4. And a whole bunch of cars behind them because they couldn't get around them.
Lacking are the details that you want.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a big trucker strike. It really doesn't. And that's what we've been talking about for the last 4 hours. Joyce Riley,
But if it turns out well, I'm taking credit for it. Not.
I think we can be guaranteed of that one for sure.
Sam Bushman, Liberty News Radio. Mike Parsons is with us in Tennessee. Mike, thanks for being with us.
By the way, last report, they say there's been several accidents.
Oh, boy.
Huh.